Okay, so thank you everyone for joining our All-in Research Network member seminar series. We appreciate all of you being here today with us. We're going to be hearing some research results on perceived risk management and risk management strategies under irrigated rice farming. So just to get us started, I wanted to just go over some meeting protocols. Please do make sure to mute yourself when you're not speaking. Also, just except for our presenter, unless you are speaking, please do leave your camera off, especially in consideration of potential connectivity issues for some of our participants. Please use the chat question or the chat function for any comments, questions throughout the presentation. We'll also have a designated time for Q&A and discussion near the end of the event. And this event is being recorded, so please do be on the lookout. The recording and supporting materials will be made available after the event. So we just want to welcome you from the management of the All-in Research Network. Myself, I'm Tara Chu, the Associate Director of the Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Markets, Risk, and Resilience, and I'm here with my colleague, Anne-Sophie Misiani, who is a Program Manager at ICE. We welcome you and thank you for joining to hear this really exciting new research we have going. And with that, I want to transition quickly to our speaker, our presenter for today, Professor John Kuwornu. Prof, I don't know if you want to go ahead and get started. We welcome you and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Tara, for the introduction. So I want to share the slides and then start the presentation.
Yes, please.
Yeah, yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm close. Is the slide being shared now, Tara?
Yes, but we can see them with it's not in presentation mode. We can still see as you do when you edit it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah,
so
we can see the window. There you go. Perfect. That's perfect.
Okay. Just a minute. Let me pull this thing here down.
Okay, but I can see correctly right now. So
you can see, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to pull this down. Okay. So good morning to everyone. My name is John Kuwornu. Maybe I briefly put it on so that in case I have internet issues, I'll put it on I'll take it out from the video. So this is a research being carried out by the University of Energy and Natural Resources. And the funding is from USAID in collaboration with the MRL Lab, University of California, Davis, and supported by the International Center for Evaluation and Development. So what we have today is on risk perception and risk management strategy under irrigation rice farming, evidence from the Tono and Vea irrigation schemes in the upper east region of Ghana. I'm having some challenge with it. Okay, yeah, I think it's fine. So I will provide some outline of the presentation, which will be an introduction, methodology, results, conclusions, and recommendations. I would like to introduce my research team, which is made of myself, Dr. Francis Kemeze, who is a co-principal investigator at the African Development Bank, my mentor, Professor Mario J. Miranda, Ohio State University, project manager, Dr. Edward Marty, and then assistant project manager is Dr. Emmanuel K. Apios. we work as a team, as you can envisage, but we also have research assistants. We have 2 research assistants, but one has been trained now, has gotten a scholarship at the University of UENR. Felix has gone to have a PhD program. And Samuel, who did his master's on the data, sub-data that we have collected. And I supervised together with Professor Richard Kwesi-Bano, and we came up with this short paper based on a sample of the data. And so that is what we have today to share with you: perceived risks and risk management strategies under irrigated rice farming in the Upper East region of Ghana. So to start, we said drought remains a serious threat for food security across sub-Saharan Africa because of the overdependence on rain-fed agriculture. Drought makes farming a risky activity. Over the years, supplemental irrigation and drought index insurance have been advocated to manage risks associated with rain-fed agriculture, and this has resulted in the establishment of irrigation facilities. Nevertheless, the adoption of supplemental irrigation and drought index insurance has been low in Ghana and other parts of sub-Saharan Africa. I just gave the introduction. So this funding is from USAID, the Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Market Risk and Resilience at the University of California, Davis, in collaboration with the International Center for Evaluation and Development, supporting this project. And we want to see how we can combine supplemental irrigation and drought index insurance into a product that will expand farmers' overall drought protection. The inability of farmers to achieve the potential yield has partly been blamed on the risks involved in rice production and other farming practices. Like any other form of farming, rice cultivation is confronted with varying risks ranging from production, market, and financial risk. The study sought to investigate farmers' risk perception and adoption of risk management instruments in the Upper East region of Ghana. And specifically, we want to assess irrigated rice farmers' perception of agricultural risks. Second, examine the factors influencing the choice of risk management strategies among irrigated rice farmers. And thirdly, to examine the factors influencing the intensity of adoption of risk management strategies among irrigated rice farmers. The theoretical framework underpinning this study is the protection motivation theory. And the fundamental argument of this theory is that individuals are very likely to protect themselves from risk when they expect adverse repercussions, desire to avoid these negative consequences, and take preventive measures to avoid the risk. The theory suggests that farmers' perception of the consequence of risk influences the utilization of risk management techniques. And the risk perception construct explains the farmer's subjective judgment about the characteristics and severity of risk in farming. And so in this study, we propose that risk perception relation to financial, market, and production influence their choice of risk management instrument or strategy. The conceptual framework, as you can see, we go beyond what probably we know before as socio-demographic variables such as gender, age, household size, etc., farm level characteristics, farm size, farming experience, and so on. Institutional characteristics as access to essential services, membership of farmer-based organizations, ecological changes such as erratic rainfall, soil fertility, and frequency of drought. What we are adding here is the risk perception variable in this context. And so all these were there, and we add this risk perception variable as a factor that influence market risk management strategy and influence the intensity of the choice of this strategy. The study area is the Upper East region of Ghana, and we embark on a multi-stage sampling technique to select the study area and respondents. Firstly, purposive sampling was employed to choose the region and districts that host the Tono and Vea irrigation schemes. That's the Katsina, Nankana East, and Busa North host the Tono irrigation scheme, while the Bongo district and the Bogatanga municipal host the Vea irrigation scheme. The study area, the region shares boundary with Burkina Faso to the north, Togo to the east, and Sisala district of the Upper West region to the west, and then West Mamprosin district of the northern region to the south. It has a total land area of 8,842 square kilometers. The region is characterized by unimodal rainfall of short duration, a high incidence of drought, allowing for only 4 to 5 months of farming and leaving 7 to 8 months of extended dry season. The region has extensive and predominantly natural lowlands for rice cultivation. Agriculture in the region is predominantly rainfed, with less than 0.4% of the agricultural land irrigated. And as a result, drought often severely impacts farmers, smallholder farmers' livelihood in the area. Thirdly, we obtained the list of farmers obtained from the irrigation company of the Upper East region, a body that oversees the irrigation schemes in the study area. And it indicates that, in general, there are 200 farmers farming around the Tono irrigation schemes and 100 farmers farming around the Vea irrigation schemes. And this gives an overall idea of what the total number of farmers is. That's 3,000 farmers. Finally, we use purposive simple random sampling approach based on the number of farmers under each irrigation scheme to select 477 rice farmers for interview. We use the Yamani calculations to come out with this sample size calculation. Initially, based on the calculation, we had 353 farmers, but we added additional 124 farmers to get 477 to improve the generalization of the study's finding. So in this table, we can see what communities are there. We have Biu, Koronia, Gani, Bonia, and Chichuliga under the Tono irrigation schemes. And there we selected a total of 318 farmers. Via irrigation scheme, we have Zari, Yorogo, and Gori, and we selected 159 farmers from there, making 33% of this sample size, and that is 159. So total, we have 477. So we kind of pre-tested the data at the questionnaire when we got to the site with 20 farmers, corrected the ambiguities, and then proceeded to finalize the questionnaire for data collection. We use the survey solution, well-banked digital data collection software, and we train enumerators in respect of the data collection exercise. The analytical approach that we employ, first of all, we use the perception index to assess the farmer's perception of the various risks in farming. Secondly, we use the multivariate probability regression to examine the simultaneous adoption or choice of risk management strategies. And lastly, we use the count model. And specifically here, we use the Poisson and negative binary regression to assess the intensity of adoption of the risk management strategies. So this is kind of a brief outline of description of the variables that we use. The risk management instrument, yes or no, is binary. And then we have the intensity of adoption, which is the number of risk management tools used. That is a count, is a discrete variable. Then we have age, gender, education, household size, FVO membership, and their measurements are described in the third column as land tenure, rice land ownership, binary for the one that is owned by the farmer or is a family land, and zero otherwise. We have some other variables here: rice farm size, total farm size, risk perception, and so on. We have drought frequency and decline soil fertility. So in short, we want to provide a summary of the data that we collected. The mean age of the farmers is 44, level of education is 6, household size 7, farming experience is 19 years, and then total farm size is 6 acres, the average, and then the rice farm size is 2 acres on average. We have the maximum and the minimum respectively. About 77% of the farmers are males. That's 368 out of the total sample size. 109 are females. FVO membership, you have 298 that are members of the farmer-based organization, and 179 that are not. Land ownership, we have 300 that own their own land, or the land belongs to the family, and 177 otherwise. Extension services, we have 210 that belong to, or that had access to extension services, and 267 that do not have access to extension services. Rainfall prediction, we have probably 19% of the farmers say that it is easier to predict a rain. 373 farmers say it is harder to predict the rain. And so you can see that difficulty in the prediction of the rainfall due to climate change. Drought frequency, that some, whether or not they know, is less common, and the same or more common. 397 said drought is more common. That's approximately 83% of the farmers. Those who perceive decline in soil fertility, yes, 395 farmers says that is approximately 83% as well. Only 82% said no. So the challenge about the risk is kind of evident in this background information we are providing. The crop diversification, 398 farmers diversify, and in terms of crop production, that's 83%. In terms of those who have enrolled on any agricultural insurance product, there's none, and all the 477 farmers have no insurance. Off-farm work, 371 says no, and 106 says yes. Then those who use improved varieties, all the farmers use improved varieties, and that variety is the Agra variety. In terms of use of agrochemicals, we have 477 farmers using agrochemicals. The crop rotation, we have 126 farmers embarking on crop rotation as a strategy. Contract farming, we have 55 farmers who use contract farming to mitigate fluctuations in market risk or price risk. And then those who go for credit, 121 go for credit to manage their farming activities. So we can see that in all, from all this, we can see that these farmers embark on 5 key diversification strategies or risk management strategies: crop diversification, off-farm work, credit access, crop rotation, and contract farming. This table shows the intensity of use of these risk management instruments. We can see here that at least any farmer that we met on the field used at least 2 of the risk management strategies. That's 25 farmers do that. 139 farmers use at least 3 of the risk management strategies. 183 use 4 risk management strategies. 98 use 5 risk management strategies, and 32 use 6. And respectively, we can see that those who use 4 risk management strategies are the highest in terms of percentage. That's 38%, followed by the 29%, those who use 3. So that's kind of an idea of what the data looks like. When we come to let me check this. Just a minute. When we come to the risk perception, we have risk perception in the area of production risk. So pests and disease significantly affect farming, and we have 0.76. Encroachment of grazing animals as a serious threat, 0.57. Drought, persistent drought is a serious challenge, 0.68. Erratic rainfall significantly threaten farming, 0.66. When we come to market risk, so these are key that are very high. Market risk, all the dimensions. Market access and ready market is a challenge, 0.59. Prices of farm products are usually not attractive, 0.75. Price of agro inputs are currently expensive, 0.81, as we can note this one. Agrochemicals are inaccessible in my area, 0.56. And financial risk, access to credit remains a major challenge, 0.68. High interest rate hinders credit demand, 0.71. So on overall, we can see the kind of perception the farmers have with respect to production, marketing, and financial risk. And we can see that already from the perception index, we have an overall average of 0.43, which signifies that farmers agree that risk affects their farming activities. They are confronted with risk. We use the multivariate probit regression to examine the choice of the following risk management strategies. The first one is crop diversification, off-farm work, credit access, crop rotation, and contract farming. And because we want to look at this in a simultaneous way, we have to employ a more robust modeling. That's a multivariate probit regression, because we have more than 2 variables, dependent variables there. And so the results shows that for crop diversification, gender influence crop diversification. And gender here means that being a male farmer, the farmer has a lot of land, because the female farmers do not have much access to land. And so they have more access to land. So the probability of them diversifying of crop is very high. Years of education, this is quite surprising. And that is negative. But the experience is that if farmers are used to their system, they may think that they have mastered the craft of rice farming. And so they may want to restrict themselves to the crop that they are producing. Total farm size is positive. When the land size is higher, or land holding is higher, they are likely to diversify their crops. Rice farm size, which is an average of 2, is negative in the sense that if the farmer is concentrating on rice, the farmer still want to concentrate because the farmer doesn't have enough land to diversify. So the total size of rice farm negatively influence crop diversification. Decline in soil fertility, as the farmer is not able to amend the soil to be able to take on other crops that may have different nutrient requirements, the tendency to diversify will decrease when there's decline in soil fertility. The next instrument is the off-farm work. The off-farm work, gender, being a male is negative in the sense that the men in general concentrate on the farming, whilst the female do more work, other work like weaving and parboiling of rice to get extra income. That's why for male, it's negative. Years of education, off-farm work, when a farmer is concentrating on the farm and has the techniques to be able to produce and get higher yield, the farmer is likely to concentrate and do more work outside to be able to generate enough revenue to take care of the expenses on the farm. Total farm size also is positive for off-farm work. The farmer may have enough money to be able to undertake the farming activities from the off-farm work. And so the larger the farm size, the farmer is more prone to take on additional work outside to generate some more money to pay for the input costs on the farm. Rainfall prediction is positive. If the farmer is able to predict rainfall, then the farmer will rest assured that probably everything is going on well on the farm, and so the farmer can take on. And then decline in soil fertility is still negative as in the case of crop diversification. The next instrument is the credit, using credit as a source of risk management instrument. In the area that we sample, there's this village saving and loans scheme, and these schemes are more for the female. And so for the male, it's negative. Getting access to credit to manage farm activities using these credit sources is negative for the male. The age is also negative, and in the sense that if the farmer gets older and older in the farming activity, farmer probably may have that kind of a fear of going for higher loans for farming activity, in the sense that probably if anything happens, it will be a burden on him and the family. If the drought is not able, the climate is not able to sustain or to bring about higher yield for him, it's going to cause more problem. Years of education is also negative for credit. When the farmer is experienced, the farmer is prone to look at other ways of getting productive resources to be able to undertake the farming experience, farming practice. Extension access also provides that kind of leverage. During extension services and farmer experience, you can see that this is positive in the sense that the extension agents probably may provide additional information on funding sources for farming activities. Land tenure. Now, the land tenure here means that the farmer owns the land or the land belongs to the family. And so the farmer can rent the land and gets enough credit from our side to be able to undertake the farming activity. And based on the land size, if the farmer has additional land based on what has been given to him by the family or what he himself owes, he can rent part and get some additional credit to be able to, but can also use the land as a collateral security for credit from formal and informal financial institutions. The mean market risk is also negative. Now, when the market is unpredictable, it implies that the farmer is not sure of the price of the commodity in the future. And so the farmer may decide not to go in for loan because the market is highly unpredictable. Now, the next instrument is crop rotation. And crop rotation also because the men are so involved and they have large access to large sizes of land, they will involve in crop rotation to ensure that the crop, the soil fertility is kind of maintained and the soil is rejuvenated for production purposes. Farming experience also is positive. Extension service is also positive because they get education from these extension agents. Land tenure, when the farmer has large size or owns the land, the farmer is free to be able to undertake crop rotation practices. Total farm size is also positive. Now, what is negative in this sense is the market risk. Now, so far as the rice price, the price of rice is predictable and they can foresee what is in there for them, the farmers may not want to go in for other crops, to grow other crops like other vegetables, probably whose management are kind of expensive, but concentrate on the rice production. And so the high unpredictability of market prices will reduce the probability of involving in crop rotation and other forms of, because if you do crop rotation, you have to plant different crops. And in that sense, that is not favorable for these farmers. Decline in soil fertility is positive. Now, when the soil fertility declines, the farmer is supposed to move to other area to cultivate the crops and replace it with leguminous crops, which provides atmospheric nitrogen to improve the soil fertility. Now, the last one is contract farming. And the only variable that is significant there is extension services. And so we can see that these farmers, due to extension services that are provided by these extension agents, they may have links with buyers and other middlemen or intermediaries and processors to be able to have some kind of contract with them. And this is enhanced because of the education provided by these extension agents. So in all, we see some factors influencing. So generally, we are saying crop diversification is being influenced by positively by gender, that's being a male farmer and having a large farm size, and negatively is influenced by the size of the rice farm, education, and soil fertility. For off-farm work, it is being influenced by the high level of education positively, being able to predict the rainfall and total farm size, but negatively by soil fertility and gender, that's being a male farmer. For credit, we have farming experience influencing that positively, land tenure, that's ownership of the land or having the land from the family, extension services, and credit as a means of risk management is being negatively influenced by market risk, gender, that's being a male farmer, and age, and then education. Crop rotation is possibly influenced by extension services, ability to predict the soil fertility, or decline in soil fertility, land tenure, experience, farm size, gender, but negatively by market risk because the farmers are not sure of the price of the other crops that they want to grow. And so they want to concentrate on the rice that they know the trend of rice price across time. As contract farming is also being positively influenced by extension services. So we employ the Poisson and the negative binomial regression to examine the intensity of adoption of risk management instrument. Now here, we tested those two models and the data supports the use of the Poisson regression. But we ran the two regressions for emphasis. But our discussion is based on the results of the Poisson regression. So we see age influencing the choice or the intensity of use, farming is negatively, farming experience, extension service, land tenure, total farm size, and being able to predict rainfall. All these ones possibly influence the intensity of use, as shown in a table, that at least the farmers use at least 2 of these instruments, and we have up to a maximum of 6. But 3 and 4, we have the highest number of farmers using at least 3 or 4 risk management instruments. And the regression diagnosis shows that the model is appropriate. So generally, we are saying rainfall, being able to predict rainfall, total farm size, extension assets, farming experience, land tenure system, that is having the land as your own or its own, or being a family land, influence the adoption, intensity of adoption. But age, because when they grow, they are aging, they have some perceived ideas about the intensity of adoption, applying all these risk management instruments, for example, going for credit and other things. Probably the aged farmers may not want to go in for certain because of the risky nature of such credit. So in all, we are saying that the study investigated risk perception, adoption of risk management instruments, and the intensity of adoption among irrigated rice farmers in the Upper East region. The study used multi-stage sampling approach. The Tono and Vea irrigation schemes were selected purposely. The Katsina, Nankana East, and Busa North district, and the Tono irrigation scheme was purposely selected. The Bolga municipal and Bongo municipal were selected from the Vea irrigation scheme. Purposely, 318 farmers were selected from the Tono, the irrigation schemes, and 159 from the Vea irrigation schemes through the Yamanis sampling techniques. The study revealed that risk is prevalent in irrigated rice farming in the Upper East region of Ghana. Farmers adopt multiple strategies to manage this risk. And none of these sample farmers use crop insurance as a risk management instrument. The application of agrochemicals and the use of improved rice varieties are predominantly adopted among the sample rice farmers. The farmers adopted 5 key risk management instruments: crop diversification, off-farm work, credit access, crop rotation, and contract farming. So in essence, we are saying that socioeconomic factors, environmental and ecological changes, and farmers' perception of production, financial, and market risk play a significant role in the choice of risk management strategies. Based on this, we recommend that insurance companies develop strategies to ensure the uptake of insurance policies or products by farmers. Now, given the fact that Extension plays a key role in the adoption of this risk management instrument. It is imperative that extension services, research centers, and organizations be supported in a way that will improve these extension services to these farmers. A sample of these organizations are the Savannah Agricultural Research Institute, the Irrigation Company of Upper East Region of Ghana, and other allied organizations and NGOs that are involved in extension services to these farmers. Further, institutions and stakeholders should consider socioeconomic factors, environmental and ecological changes, and farmers' production, financial, and market risk perceptions when designing risk management policies. As I said from the beginning, so this is a part of the sample that of the data that we collected, and this is a small paper that is published in the Journal of Agriculture and Food Research, and it's coming out from a thesis that we supervised together with Professor Kwesi Bano, and our student is Samuel Kobnan-Chire, who is currently serving as a research assistant on a project. Dr. Edward Mate is a project manager, and Emmanuel Kobnan-Apios is the assistant project manager. This is the reference to the paper, and these are appendices to the work. We have tested the multicollinearity, we check multicollinearity, and we can see that none of these variance inflation factors values exist, and that presupposes that there's no multicollinearity in the data set. We also checked for the internal validity of the constructs that were used for the production risk, market risk, and financial risk. And based on Tepper et al., we can see that the Krubash alpha of 0.65, 0.50, and 0.64 are considerably good to say that our constructs are valid. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. And for sharing with us, what you've been working on. And thank you all for joining. At this point, I would like to quickly ask if there's any comments or questions from the audience. This is your chance. You could raise your hand and then unmute yourself, or you could drop the questions in the chat.
Actually, I'm sorry, I have a quick question, Prof. Prof, can you had mentioned that uptake of crop insurance policies is a recommendation. Can you talk about what you think are the barriers to uptake of crop insurance right now that need to be overcome?
I think the barriers here will be more of the knowledge of the crop insurance and what it can do to these farmers. And so the barrier is more of knowledge, and what needs to be done is more education on crop insurance products and what the farmers intend to benefit, will tend to benefit from this crop insurance. And so even though finance may be a problem, but the key thing is knowledge. Some farmers are considerably okay because they have a lot of acres of rice, but the challenge is to let them know what the benefits of this crop insurance will be for them, and that it is real and that they will benefit from it when they subscribe to it.
Thank you, Prof, for that, and thank you, Tara, for your questions. Any other comment or question from the members we have on today? Okay, I think I have a question more general towards this. I'm just curious, where do you think more of this research is needed? And I mean, where do you see the remaining evidence gaps that need to be addressed?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So the evidence gap is quite wide, and more especially for the northern part of Ghana where drought is prevalent. And so we see that because of the drought, the poverty levels are quite high in the area. And so based on this project and what we are doing to seek to see how a bundle of supplementary irrigation and drought index insurance will mitigate farmers' risk and expand their access to credit. We are still on the project and want to see how this bundle will help these farmers to mitigate their risks and expand their, because when they have irrigation combined with insurance product, drought index insurance, we'll be able to see what role this bundle will play. Secondly, because of the poverty in the area, we want to see what can be done to improve the poverty levels or to improve the well-being of these farmers. And so there are many areas that we need to tackle. Based on this research, we are working on irrigation dam. Okay, we use the Tono irrigation dam, but it will be more important to look at what about dug wells. When we did our scoping study or second mission, we had wanted to include a dug well with solar pumps or pumps to be able to irrigate, to compare with the one for the dams. But because of funding inadequacy, we were not able to do that. But we thank God there's a green light now for us to go that way and see whether we can have a third control and or a second control and treatment community where we can have a control of those who are only using dugout well and solar pumps to irrigate and what the impact will be, and a combination of both dugout well and solar pump, as well as drought index insurance, to see what is the impact of use of the dam and drought index insurance, supplementary irrigation through the use of the Tono and Vea irrigation dam versus the use of dugout well and solar pumps combined with drought index insurance. What will the impact be in terms of income, or first of all, output, yield, income levels, and their ability of financial, or the tendency for financial institutions to grant loans to these farmers. And so we want to look at this dimension and see. But I can see my co-principal investigator is Dr. Kemeze online. If he can probably, you can allow him to contribute to the discussion or ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Yes, I did see your colleague's hand up, Francis Kemeze. So please go ahead. The floor is yours. Thank you. And thank you for answering the question.
No, thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Thank you, and thank you, Prof, for the brand presentation. So my name is Francis Kemeze, and I'm part of the team designing this particular project. I'm part of the, I'm a co-PI of this project. I just wanted to add a little on what Prof just mentioned in terms of the impact. So one thing that we end up realize when we visited some of the facility or the reservoir facility for this project was, you know, the size. We come to realize that most of the dam in understand for such dam, farmers have less to say as far as the decision to invest, you know, in the construction of those dams, and actually even to own land in the proximity of those dams. So and initially when we were designing the project, we had in mind, you know, the blending of large scale dams and by small scale dam here with micro catchment.
Sorry, I think there's Abiola maybe, a lot of background noise. Do you mind just muting yourself so that we can continue the discussion?
All right, thank you. We are now in the state we still want to look at the dynamic of, small scale reservoir or dam like dock out, as Prof just mentioned, because it gives much flexibility in terms of, take up from these farmers. Farmers, as I mentioned, with this large dam, if they are not in the proximity of the dam, they really have less to say in terms of take up. So, but if we happen to really demonstrate that, binding supplementary irrigation with drought index insurance really work out best for farmers, and then the next step will be in terms of, we need to, increase the scalability of such technology. But giving, the size of those dams, it will be very difficult to promote such technology. Of course, we could talk to the government, who are pretty much finance much bigger dam in developing countries, but it will still not be enough. So the second element is really to invest in trying to understand the dynamic of small scale dam, just small scale reservoir like this dug out, because farmers can easily afford, if we demonstrate the benefit of it, they can easily afford to construct such small scale dam. So the next step for this project was really to investigate whether small scale solar solar power reservoir can actually be another option, and this would also bring diversity in such technology, and providing one for bigger dam and also having options for small dams. So that's what we plan to do next, if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Francis, for that additional information. I'm happy to take in one more or two more questions. We still have some time. Yes, Mary, please, Prof. Mary, please go ahead and just unmute yourself, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My question is that what percentage of rice production in Ghana is contributed by irrigated agriculture? And is there any farmers growing rain-fed rice in Ghana? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The percentage, I cannot put it off head, but I think it should be over 70% of the rice. We have irrigation schemes across the country. We have the Tono irrigation schemes and around Navrongo. We have the Vea irrigation schemes around Bolgatanga. We have the Botanga irrigation scheme in Tamale, where we are still doing our research. We have the Ligba and then Goliga dams. Aside that, we have irrigation schemes in the southern part of Ghana, in the Volta region, where a lot of rice is being cultivated. And so the upland rice, we don't have it much. I can give an estimate of about 70 to 80% of the rice grown in Ghana using irrigation. Just that it's a bit challenging sometimes when there are problems with the pumping of the water and all that with the dams. I remember a project that we did, that we went to the Volta region. They enumerated those kind of challenges to us as to the pumping of the water. Sometimes they have some problems with the machines and all that. So those are things that we need to consider. But upland rice is also there. We have a location now in the upper east region of Ghana. We have the upper Ghana and Tampola, where we have the upland rice, and we are looking at that location for as an expansion of this project. Now, if we go into that, but that we had only approximately 200 acres, approximately 200 acres of land being farmed by 110 farmers. Okay, and so yes, the farmers are not many, and the land size that we had there, we did our exploration to find out what can we get upland rice being cultivated, and we've gotten some locations that are okay that we can try. But to say the irrigated rice is more common in Ghana because the upland rice is not much. We don't have much of that in Ghana.
Thank you.
Even in the central region of Ghana, where we have rice being cultivated, they are kind of in a valley, central region, on the way to Cape Coast, in a valley. So those ones, they may have dugout wells there where they do irrigation, but it's not the large-scale irrigation as compared to the dam that we are talking about. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Any questions and comments? All right. Thank you very much for all your comments and engagement today. Thank you so much for joining in, Prof, and your team. We do appreciate the time taken to join us today. And looking forward to hearing how you progress with the project. Wishing you the very best on that. At this point, I'd just like to end the session, and we will be sharing again when we will be having the next seminar series. So look out for that invitation. It's open to the public, so feel free to always share it with your, within your networks. And those who we have on today and are not part of the ARN network, please do email Tara or I, and we can possibly send you the registration submission form, and you can be a member of the network. Thank you so much for your time. We don't take it for granted, and thank you once again, Prof. Have a good morning, afternoon, and from those in East Africa, have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tara, for the opportunity to present our study. Thank you. All right.